Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Crime Talk, and my name is Scott Reich. A quick preview of today's docket. First, the defense of entrapment still exists. Second, the government doesn't want their briefs available to the public in the Lori Vallow Chad Daybell matter. A model stabs her boyfriend and the boyfriend dies. Bloody mess. Just when you thought it was safe to go outside, a shoplifting gang in New York gets busted, and so do some of their windows when the cops arrive. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. All right, aficionados, thanks for watching. You know the drill. Subscribe if you have not. Like the video if you did. Leave me a comment and also hit that bell so that you receive notifications of when we go live or put up new content. And remember, you can listen to us on your favorite podcasting app by simply typing in the words Crime Talk with Scott Reich. Now, please support those who support the channel. Today, one of our favorite sponsors, the background subscription service. That's right, something that everybody should have. A subscription service, whether you're considering to allow somebody new into your life, are you maybe concerned about people that may already be there and just not getting the feeling they're telling you everything, you can go check them out by going to crimetalksearch.com. When you do the search, it takes place while you wait, takes just a few minutes, and you get a comprehensive background search where you can get information regarding an individual's criminal records, property records, divorce records, sex offender records, as well as civil judgments. And it's all the things that you probably should know about a person, but maybe they don't tell you up front. So I can tell you, this stuff works. We use it in my law practice on a nearly daily basis on researching witnesses. You'd be surprised the information that comes up. We've also received many notes from people that have said, hey, I want to thank you. They were getting ready to start getting serious about a guy and found out he had been arrested and charged with wrongs to minors. Others have said, hey, started dating somebody, found out this guy had, domestic violence convictions. So go to crimetalksearch.com, get your background subscription service today. And remember, hey, it's simple, it's easy, and you can cancel at any time. But listen, you'll be happy you did. All right, let's get to the docket for April 8th, 2022. Let's open the record. First, a jury acquits two Michigan men for the allegations that they wanted to kidnap the governor of Michigan. That's right, a federal jury acquitted two men of conspiring to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and they hung or deadlocked on the case against two others, apparently agreeing to some degree with the defense claims that the FBI agents entrapped the men in a violent plot shortly before the 2020 election. So the jury began deliberations on Monday, and then they told the judge in a note Friday this morning that they had reached a verdict on some of the charges and could not agree on the others. So you're thinking, well, they must be convicted of something. Well, to everybody's surprise, when the judge instructed them to deliver the partial verdict, which showed that they had acquitted Daniel Harris and Brandon Caserta while deadlocking on the charges against Adam Fox and Barry Croft. Well, that's significant because normally federal juries convict. All right. Why is this so significant? Entrapment. I personally have never run an entrapment defense. I've never seen anybody run a successful entrapment defense until now. Otherwise, you have to go back maybe to the John DeLorean cases some 30 years ago. Now, why is entrapment so hard? Well, it's when you say the defendant was not predisposed to commit the crime. In entrapment, you have to show that the government somehow encouraged or induced somebody to do an act that they were not predisposed to have done. It has to show that the government was nudging or encouraging you to go along. So it means the government witnesses were not that credible. That's significant, particularly in a federal case that was, so much attention was brought to it because it's significant because this case was highly publicized when these people were first arrested. And the fact that you're talking about kidnapping a political official that you don't agree with. We don't do that here in the United States. So just a little bit of background. Two of the men initially arrested as part of this Michigan group, this Ty Garbin and Caleb Franks. Now, they pled guilty months ago, and they testified against the other four at trial, saying that they had agreed to kidnap Governor Whitmer from her lakeside home. The men then allegedly discussed taking the governor to the middle of a lake on a boat or holding her in some sort of a mock tribunal and going to find her guilty. Now, there was testimony at their trial that they showed the men were particularly angry about the state and federal government pandemic restrictions and the possibility of vaccine mandates. Well, this trial, like I said, had been closely watched as a test of the United States government ramped up effort to combat what they refer to as domestic terrorism. And the verdict is a partial defeat, obviously, to the Justice Department. Now, the government's case was built largely on some secret recordings of the men's conversations, recordings made by informants and undercover agents whose role became central issue at the trial. Now, the prosecutor said the defendants' own words showed they were rage-filled extremists who hoped to spark some sort of civil war that would keep now President Biden from actually becoming president. Defense lawyers said the government's case was built on marijuana smoke and mirrors, and that the undercover agents were responsible for radicalizing these men who had no history of violence whatsoever. The agents, the defense team argued, tried to talk the men into a fantastic plot that never materialized. Now, Mr. Fox's lawyer, a guy by the name of Christopher Gibbons, noted in closing that the testimony showed his client repeatedly smoked pot before discussing anything about this alleged pot. The agents took advantage of his substance abuse issue, and the defense lawyer blamed Dan Chappell, a key informant in the case, whose tip to the FBI started this whole investigation. Now, this Chappell guy was an Army veteran, and he joined this self-styled militia group called the Wolverine Watchmen, became alarmed when he heard some of the participants talk about attacking the police. So the defense conceded some things that were offensive for sure that were said or done by their clients, but they argued that the thing that was far more offensive is the way the FBI and the government behaved throughout the investigation. And the attorney said that that's not what you think of when you think of what it means to serve and protect, what it means to have integrity. And they said that this investigation conducted by these agents was an absolute embarrassment to their agency and the United States government. So the two co-defendants who were not acquitted, hung jury, guess what? They're going to get to do it again, assuming the feds want to try again. When you hang on your first time through on two and you get acquittals on the other two, you may want to re-examine your case and say, hey, is this really the one we want to go forward on? But guess what? The government has nothing to lose. They play with house money. Money's no object. They can do it again and again and again. We'll watch and see what happens on the next time around, because I'm sure there will be. Next, a quick update on Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. Now, as you may recall, the defense for Chad Daybell had filed a motion to dismiss the indictment in this case. And the argument was pretty simple. Basically, that there were irregularities that were taking place in the grand jury proceedings, and therefore the whole process was tainted and that the indictment should be dismissed. Pretty straightforward. And as you may recall, there was a hearing. We televised it, and I thought the DA's argument was basically, it sounded very law schoolish, and I got a little bit of flack for it. But I stand by my statement because it looked like she was literally reading from it, something. So she's made her argument. She told everybody what her argument is. But then she filed a motion saying that she doesn't want the world to know what her argument was. Now, originally her argument was everything was conducted properly, but if there were things that were done improperly, maybe things we shouldn't have done, Judge, it didn't result in so much prejudice to either of the defendants that the case should not be thrown out. So, like I said, they made that argument several weeks ago. Now they put it in writing, but now all of a sudden they want it sealed. Why? Like I said, she sounded like she was reading her brief when she made her argument. Judge Boyce, don't seal the pleadings. The public has a right to know their justice system is working, and if it's not working, they need to be aware as to why it's not working so that we can fix the problem or replace the person causing the problem. Now, still no news regarding whether Lori Vallow will be joining anyone in the proceedings anytime soon. Once again, my prediction is that she will not be joining us anytime soon. Next on the docket, that's right, when the model stabs her boyfriend, it's going to create a mess. And in this case, the model, Courtney Clenny, is an OnlyFans model. I'm not really sure what that is. I think some people put up legit stuff, but I think a lot of it is a little bit of X-rated stuff. You can see by the pictures, she is covered in blood after allegedly stabbing her boyfriend to death. Now, doesn't seem to be a whodunit, but the question is, will she be charged? Was it in self-defense or was she the aggressor? Well, like I said, not sure if an OnlyFans model is a supermodel or a bikini model or just an OnlyFans model. I've never heard of her basically until now. But Courtney Clenny can be seen in some video in the stills, have her on the balcony of her Miami apartment while she's being interviewed by the police. Courtney stabbed her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli, in the shoulder amid a struggle at their Miami condominium on Sunday. Obumseli was rushed to a nearby hospital where he died from his injuries. Ms. Clenny has not been charged formally in her boyfriend's death. In fact, she was hospitalized over mental health concerns after making suicidal threats while in police custody. Her current condition remains unknown. Now, the facts that we do know is the Miami police responded multiple times to this location on domestic disturbance calls over the past 3 months. Now, a neighbor claiming to have a direct view of the couple's apartment said that he witnessed Obumseli strike Miss Clenny about a week before the fatal stabbing. Now, the neighbor could not tell if it was open-handed or closed, but that he was certain that Mr. Obumseli was swinging at her. However, like all things, there's usually another side, and a trio of friends have stated that the social media model was in fact the violent one in the relationship. It does appear the couple has been together for several years, but a lot of questions remain. Now, the law allows law enforcement, judges, doctors, and mental health experts to commit a person to a treatment center for 72 hours if certain violent or suicidal tendencies are displayed. It is unclear if or when she was released from the hospital. However, new content was added to her OnlyFans page the day after she was detained. We'll let you know on this one. It could get interesting. Who knows? Next on the docket, just when you thought it was safe to go outside, Fernando Avila Hernandez was posing as a rideshare driver and was arrested Wednesday on charges of alleged sexual battery, alleging he picked up a woman at Miami International Airport last month and then sexually assaulted her. The alleged assault occurred on March 29th of 2022. Now, Mr. Hernandez was listed as an inmate in the Broward County Jail, being held on 2 counts of sexual battery on a victim 18 years or older and 1 count of touch or striking battery, according to the jail records, and his bond is currently set at $135,000. Now, it's alleged that Mr. Hernandez picked up a 28-year-old woman who was arriving at the airport from Salt Lake City. And according to the affidavit, the woman was trying to hail a taxi when she was approached by Mr. Hernandez, who was allegedly soliciting passengers as a ride-share driver. Now, the affidavit said that the woman, who is originally from Colombia, got into the back of Mr. Hernandez's SUV and said she needed a ride to a hotel in Miramar. She also stated she did not think anything of it because since Uber is not officially allowed in Colombia, Uber drivers sit their passengers in the front seat so as not to alert authorities. As they were arriving at the hotel, Mr. Hernandez asked for payment, and the woman offered to pay with a credit card, but he told her that he only accepts cash. The affidavit then states that Mr. Hernandez offered to pay her $500 for sex, but she told him she's not a prostitute. He then told her the ride would cost $300, but she said she didn't have that much money, according to the affidavit. The affidavit then goes on to state that he drove past the hotel and went to a shopping plaza where he parked and then sexually assaulted the woman. Afterwards, he drove her to a hotel and left the woman at the hotel, where she reported it to the hotel staff and they called the police. Detectives retrieved surveillance video from the airport, and a detective actually recognized the suspect in the video as Mr. Hernandez, who had been arrested in a separate incident. That's never good when the police recognize you as a guy that they know. Not good. Anyway, the victim identified Mr. Hernandez in a police lineup, and he was also on a list of people who solicit customers by posing as Uber drivers and taxi drivers at the airport. Now, Uber has said that Mr. Hernandez did not have access to its platform at the time of the incident, and did not take a trip with Uber since April of 2021. And Uber drivers are prohibited from taking off-app trips, and the company reminded passengers to only take trips through the Uber platform. Remember, do that. Make sure it's the right car. Don't just assume that they're Uber because they have a black car. Be careful out there, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this gang, what can you say? A suspected shoplifting gang who are alleged to have stolen $70,000 worth of designer gear were filmed ramming an NYPD cop car to try and escape, only for officers to stop them. Take a look at this video. The three suspects identified as Janavia. The smash and grab rate is one of the many blights on New York City right now. And the police department is reporting a 44% spike in crime since last year. Now, leaders in the retail industry, which are already hit hard by the impact on the pandemic, labor shortages, and supply chain interruptions, argue thefts have gotten out of control, and security guards have their hands tied as they are told only to observe and report and not get physical with the criminals, aka shoplifters. Well, what do you think? Do you think the laws need to be changed so that you could use reasonable or deadly force to protect your personal property? Not just your life, but your personal property. You work hard for it. That could be your livelihood. Let me know. Should the law be changed? I bet you these little group of thugs there in New York will think twice before they go on a shoplifting spree yet again, because the police, well, they beat the car up pretty good getting them out. But guess what? They backed into the police car first. So I think the police officers are pretty justified in saying these guys were going to do anything they could to get away, and they could be dangerous, and did what they had to do. Just my humble opinion. Okay, next on the docket, our dumb criminal of the day. The word of the day, or the phrase of the day, is don't open other people's mail. But if someone does open your mail, you can't hit them for it, okay? Victoria Marson of Vero Beach, Florida, I'm talking to you, okay? Miss Marson allegedly hit her father after her father opened her mail that arrived at the house where they both live. When Dad asked, "What is this?" Miss Marson allegedly hit her father and said that she hated him and wanted to kill him. Now, Miss Marson got arrested on domestic battery with her father being the victim. Yes, that is also domestic violence when it is a family member. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what was in the package that Miss Marson had delivered to her father's home that he discovered that was so shocking? Well, apparently, Miss Marson had ordered a strap-on dildo. Bet you Dad won't open anyone's mail either. Never know what you're gonna find, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your hands to yourself. Don't open other people's mail. It's private. Okay? All right. Thanks for watching. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you next week. And oh, by the way, we just put up a new video going to a little flying on Plane Talk. Maybe Frank can put a link in here. The video is just probably doesn't do it justice, but it was some pretty good icing coming in, but some pretty good piloting, I must say so for myself. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.